Hi, my name is Tamara, and you are watching Things Even a Monkey Should Know. Thanks so much for watching again today. As you know, if you've watched some of my other videos, I'm not a professional at this do-it-yourself stuff. I'm just a girl who's figured out that there are a lot of things around the house and out in the yard and on my cards that I can do myself, and often save myself both time and money. So hopefully you have now saved those things too. So today I am going to tackle everybody's favorite subject or chore or fix-it task, and that is plumbing. It's really not one of my favorites, but that's okay. It has to be done, right? So today I'm going to change out the P-trap under my bathroom sink. So before we go over what you're going to need today, the first thing you might be wondering is, what is a P-trap? There are all kinds of connotations that could have if you don't know what it is. All that it is that U-shaped sort of trap. It is a trap that sits down under all the sinks in your house. And the purpose of this is so that whenever you run water down your sink and it flows out and through the drain, some water sits in here and creates a seal, and it keeps your drain from regurgitating stinky smells. If there's anything nasty living in your drains, it also, the idea is that it keeps those things from crawling up your drain. Yeah. Does a lot of good, doesn't it? So obviously, the first thing that you'll want to have is a new P-trap, and they should come in a set, and they should have the washers and the flanges and all that stuff with them. And you want to make sure that you know what size you need. I'm doing the bathroom sink today. 99% of the time, the bathroom sinks or bathroom drains are going to be a 1 1/4 inch pipe. Kitchen drain pipes are usually 1 1/2. So just make sure that you know for sure what size you have, but there's a pretty good bet that it's going to go under those rules. I also, because things are kind of plumbed a little strangely under this sink, I have an extension tube, which I may or may not need. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need this. And I actually even got an additional one of these just to be sure that I have enough, because you know what? Whatever I don't use, I can always take back, and it's way better than making a million trips to the store, right? So I'd rather just buy out the plumbing section and return the stuff that I don't need. You're also going to need a bucket or a dishpan or something that you can put down under your pipe, because whenever we take this off, it is going to leak water out of it, because again, it'll be holding water in here. I have gloves because whenever I take the old one off, it's probably gonna be really nasty, and I just don't want to touch what's been sitting down in that trap for 20 years. So you may want to have gloves. It would be a good idea. You'll want to have some of this plumber's tape. You do not want to use putty in this case, just the tape. You will want to have a pipe wrench probably, and you could, any kind of a large wrench would do really, but pipe wrench is preferable. Depending on where you're going to be working, you will want to have a flashlight so you can see what you're doing. And you also probably want to have some paper towels or a rag just to catch any mess or wipe your hands or whatever. So one other thing about these nifty P-traps is that they are actually made to be easily removed from your sink. Since this one's been on here 20 years, that does remain to be seen. But the idea is also that if any heavy object falls down the sink, like say a wedding ring or something, then it gets stuck down here in this trap and doesn't go on out and down the drain. So you're able to hopefully easily take your trap off, remove whatever the object is, put it back on with no problems, okay? You can, if you want to, turn the water off to the sink, but honestly, if you're under here using it, working on this, the water's off, you shouldn't have any problems unless you have, 20 other people in your house and they want to be coming in and using the bathroom while you're working on the sink. So it's either way, turn the water off or don't. I don't, because I am doing this and no one's going to be using that sink right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and see about loosening this joint, or this flange rather. Since I was so busy talking, I should have said, as a reminder, it's lefty loosey, so we always want to go counterclockwise, which was not what I was doing, so that was my bad. But so it is going ahead, and as you can see, it's leaking water, which is exactly what it should be doing. So we have that flange loose. I'm actually going to take and I'm going to replace this entire fitting right here, just because since I'm under here replacing things, then why not? So as you can see, it's draining the water, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen this flange here. And you do want to hold on to everything whenever you do this to make sure that it doesn't start really pushing on that other pipe. As you can see, that pipe is moving. Okay, so this one's going to try to be a bit difficult. And the hope would be that they are not tightened quite this much, because you do want to be able to get them off to change them. You can also just do it like this. You can also just, yuck, unscrew it. So we have our main P-trap off, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen this because I want to go ahead and replace all of this pipe. And I know also some of you guys are probably wondering why I'm not replacing this with PVC pipe. I'm just replacing it again with the same shiny chrome pipe. If it was under an enclosed space, like if I had a cabinet on my sink, then I would go ahead and replace it with PVC because it lasts a lot longer than this, which has lasted 20 years, so that's all right. But since it shows, I actually want it to be a little fancier. So my hope would have been that this would have only been hand tight, this flange back here, but it was not. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully give it a turn. There we go. And I'm being very careful with the PVC because I don't want to break it, crack it. And then I'm going to go ahead, good Lord, that's a long one. And I'm going to take this out. And well, that's pretty nasty. So I'm going to go ahead and get the flange off of here because I am going to be reusing that. And I'll examine the plastic gasket that was in here, and it actually still looks fine. So that's a good thing. I don't know if you can see, but that's pretty nasty. So as you saw with anything that's attached, like I don't want to replace this piece that goes to the sink. So I held on to it, and it does move a little bit. I'm not sure about that. I may have to re-putty that, but you know, there's always a learning curve with anything that you do. Hopefully not though, hopefully it'll be fine. But anyway, I held on to it so that I didn't put unnecessary pressure or stress on this and potentially damage the sink, because we do not want to be replacing a sink today, do we? And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put my flanges and plastic things, you know, those things. I'm gonna go ahead and put them on here, and I'm gonna go ahead and feed this through, get it ready. So we now have a way for the U to connect to, or the P to connect to the rest of itself and to that trap back there. And while I'm at it, I'll put this down for a second. Since I'm doing the extension over here in this area, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to put the flange and the washer, whoops, not that direction, up onto this pipe here so that it's ready to accept my extension pipe. We've cleaned up this area. And then I'm gonna go ahead, just because I like to have everything ready to go, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the flange and washer on the extension and get it ready to go into the rest of the P. So it doesn't really matter the order that we put these on in, because I'm not going to tighten them much, until I get everything kind of situated so that I know what goes where. Go ahead and just stick that down in there. Oops. Well, I guess there might be a good reason to wait to put this on, or at least to wait to tighten it so I can get everything to fit properly there. So everything does fit properly. You want to make sure if you have to do an extension that you have the appropriate length, because these do come in different lengths. So you may need to make a little diagram, take it with you to your local home improvement store or wherever you choose to get your parts. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I know that different people have different opinions on this, but just to be sure that we don't have any nasty little leaks that happen under here, because I do like a dry floor under my sink, I'm going to go ahead and before I tighten up any of these, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the connections with the plumber's tape. And like I said, there are differing opinions on this. I found that since it doesn't cause a permanent bond like plumber's putty would, which is why you would not want to use plumber's putty in this case. Get this where it'll stay a little bit. I just think it's not a bad idea to go ahead and just wrap those connections just to make an extra bond for it. And I get it. If you have to take it off, it's going to be a little bit of a mess. You're going to have to do some cleaning and some extra work. But I say that's pretty worthwhile for having a leak-free connection, right? So I'm going to just hand tighten this, not all the way there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing to this connection here. Now that I have everything, hand tight, I want to make sure that everything looks straight and I'm not putting any funky kinks or bends in the pipe or asking it to lean in any direction. So I'm happy with where it's located. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten all of these things up a bit more. And we'll go hand tight and then we'll go about a quarter turn beyond hand tight with the wrench. And voila, our P-trap is changed. So the only remaining question now is it going to leak or not? And I'm going to turn on the sink for a minute and then basically you just let it flow through there and then let it sit and see if there's any leaks. Looks like everybody's happy. Our plumber's tape, our plumber did a really good job. Okay, so as I always have to say whenever we do a job that doesn't take that long and we think it's gonna be terrible and it's not terrible, did you see how easy that was? And if we'd called a plumber out to do it, it would have been a minimum of about $100. So think about that. In 10 minutes, we just made $100. Wow, that's pretty awesome. If only we could be paid that well all the time, right? So, part of the reason that I changed this one out, I think I mentioned before, is that the trap in my other bathroom actually started to leak and then it just crumbled and everything just went on the floor. And you know what? That was nasty. And while it wasn't a huge amount of water, it just was not something I wanted to have to deal with a second time. So I was looking at this bathroom and I did notice that where the water is held in the trap was starting to corrode, and so we were going to be there, again sometime soon where things were going to leak and possibly fall on the floor. So if you have older plumbing, you might just take a look at that and see if your traps are needing changing yet, because again, as you just saw, they're so easy. So thank you very much for joining me again today. Thank you so very much to everybody who's already subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do that now. There's a button somewhere on that side of the screen. Everybody have a great week, and I'll see you again soon.